Hello, my loves. Welcome to Be Vibrant. My name is Kellyanne, and today we're talking about shame, we're talking about herpes, we're talking about self love. All of these things must be together in this video because in the last video, I talked about how um, one of the things that we need to burn, in addition to bad financial beliefs, bad beliefs about isolating yourself, is shame, is burning shame, burning away that feeling of like I'm a bad person or I suck or I'm stupid or I'm just that sort of like degrading, beating yourself up quality that is inspired by an emotion, shame, that makes you feel like you're the worst, that makes you feel like you're the worst and you couldn't possibly be better. Because that's just how I am. I just should be ashamed of myself because this is how I am. I am just a person who makes decisions that just happen to be bad all the time. Ugh, so freaking exhausting. My first run in with shame that was a part of like my adulthood and helped me to encounter shame in a more like in a more like I recognize you kind of way was when I was, and most of you will know this, and I already hinted at it, was when I was diagnosed with herpes. I was diagnosed with herpes when I was 22 years old. 21, 22. I think I was 22. I had a breakup when I was 21. Did some sleeping around because I was feeling so distressed after realizing that this person that I thought, like, I finally get to be with this person for real. We've been really good friends for a long time. Like, this is how it's supposed to be, right? Like, friends to lovers to partners. Like, that is, the ultimate fantasy. That's the ultimate ideal is to be best friends with the person that you're going to live the rest of your life with. I didn't live the rest of my life with him. And so I was really distressed about that sort of rug being pulled out from under me, that sort of sense that like this future that I had envisioned for myself is now gone, just dropped out from under my feet. So my free fall into sadness and grieving, all of that was sleeping with people because that guy was my first. That guy was the first person I ever had sex with, and the only person I had had sex with. Obviously, we were in a relationship for 3 years, and I was like, you know, it's time. It's time to get out there. I don't think I was thinking that at the time. I don't think I was thinking it's time to get out there at the time when I was, really uh, grieving, when I was really begrieved, but aggrieved. I think that's the appropriate word, aggrieved. But I did go through a period of like, I need connection and I need intimacy. And that was the only way that I understood intimacy. That was the only way that I understood vulnerability. And I actually encountered some vulnerability from some of the men that I slept with, some of the boys that I slept with, and was like, I don't know you that good. Like, I don't need your whole life story literally after you just finished. We don't need to do this. But I just laid in there in bed going, instead. All those thoughts. But it was a series of sleeping with people that led me to a herpes outbreak. And I just saw like this little bit of, if you want to know about herpes outbreaks, here it is. If you don't, you can skip forward a few seconds. Um, there was, I was going to the bathroom and there was like just like this little bit of blood on the toilet paper when I would wipe. And I was like, what even is that? And it kind of felt like it was coming from my perineum, my taint, because it taint that thing and it taint the other thing either. It's right in the middle. Um, And when I went to the gynecologist, which again, this is like a whole other video that I've already done talking about my herpes diagnosis experience, which was bad, which was really bad. You can go and find some of those videos. Really bad. I was like, oh, okay, if you're saying that this is herpes, then I must be several of the following things: a dumb slut, unintelligent, really stupid, really stupid, and also maybe now bad because I buried my head in the sand. I couldn't handle how much shame was induced by that experience. I couldn't handle it myself, and because I couldn't tell anybody about it, I buried my head in the sand. I chose denial. Aha! I chose to deny that I even had herpes, and I kept sleeping with people, which also meant that in addition to dumb, stupid, unintelligent slut, uneducated slut, I also was a bad person morally because I wasn't doing a thing that I felt was necessary to be a good person, which is communicate and be honest and tell the truth. I wasn't telling people that I was sleeping with after the fact that I had herpes. And so, like, the shame compounded over the years, and it just kept forming me into a person who did not love myself, who just like didn't and couldn't love myself. I was like, you're not allowed to love this because it's obviously bad and dumb and stupid and uneducated. I mean, how could you? What is there to love? What is there to love? What is there to even like? Are you kidding me? It took a long time to sit with all of that, the layers of grieving, the layers of shame, because one grieving led to another. There was the grieving of the life that I thought that I was going to have with this person that I was with for 3 years, and then there was the grieving of sleeping with new people for the first time. After the second person that I ever had sex with in my life, I left and I got in my car and I cried. I cried hard because it wasn't him. It wasn't that first one anymore. Cried hard. Lots of grieving over this new life that I had to live because I couldn't have the old life back. The world had changed. My life had changed. And so I was grieving that. I was grieving sex with new people. I was grieving having herpes while also being in denial. You can do both. You can multitask. You can emotionally multitask, okay? There's layers, like I keep saying, there's layers to this. Grieving that. And then also grieving the life that I would now have to face, which is I can't sleep with anybody ever again because I might give them herpes. And yet I kept doing it because I was like, I can't deal with this. I can't face the fact that there are so many layers of grieving happening. And right before my ex broke up with me, my aunt had just died, and I was like sick and having trouble finishing my degree because I was just grieving her so much that I was avoiding finishing my thesis, and I didn't graduate on time. There were just so many layers to the grieving, and at some point I had to finally start addressing them one by one. I had to start addressing, like, I'm not going to be with that guy. And it's actually better that I'm not. I'm not going to have sex with one person for the rest of my life and only have had sex with one person for the rest of my life. That's not a big deal. I'm not going to be a person without herpes ever again. And that's actually not as big a deal as I think it is because everybody has herpes. I mean that in a near literal sense. Almost everybody has herpes, whether oral or genital. Don't matter. Sometimes both. Sometimes you get, the multi-prize pack and you get both. Okay? I'm not going to be a person who doesn't have herpes ever again. I can accept that and I can deal with that. And now I have to deal with the lingering shame from having been the kind of person who let all of those life changes and the chaos that it felt like it caused me and my whole life, and the way that it made me react, the way that I chose to react, and the way that my life had been set up beforehand to cause me to react in certain ways. I had to deal with the shame of having made all those decisions and the shame of going forward, knowing that I wasted so much time being upset about something that really wasn't that big a deal. And also grieving an experience for so long that was actually something that woke me up. I I needed to be broken up with so that I could become this version of myself. I needed to uh, contract herpes so that I could start paying attention to my body when it's in stress. Because before it was like I would get like fallout sick. Like I would get like on the floor, like shitting, passed out, sick, in order for me to actually believe my body when it was telling me something is wrong and you're too fucking stressed. Now it's like I get a herpes outbreak and it's like a little irritating and it's like a little blood on the tissue. But then I go, oh, okay, I need some coconut oil. I need some coconut oil down there. I need some oregano oil, and oregano and coconut oil right here to help with my flare up. That's my little naturopath way of handling my herpes outbreaks. And I need to do something about my stress. So I needed all of these experiences so that I could become the version of myself that I am. And yet there still was some lingering shame about how I got here because I was so in resistance to all of that. And I want to share with y'all this shame and herpes and self-love journey, this story of mine, because we are constantly fed this sort of this idea that we need to be on the top of our game all the time in order to succeed, that we need to do our best in relationships so that we don't end up being the toxic one or we don't end up with the toxic ones. We're told that we have to achieve some level, even if it's not called perfection. We're told that we need to achieve some level of perfectness in multiple areas of our lives, all at the same time, so that we can live our best lives, so that we can live our best, most authentic, most true, most powerful, empowering lives possible. And what space does that make for loving your mistakes? What space does that make for failing forward and failing forward fast because you get over the embarrassment of having been seen by other people making mistakes. Ooh, ah. Now they're gonna think that I'm a dummy or that I'm a slut or that I'm a this or that I'm a that. It doesn't even fucking matter when compared to the the giantness, the bigness of thinking that you have to perform perfection and thinking that you have to just like get over things quickly or that you have to suffer in silence. All of these little things that turn into shame and turn into self-loathing. I want to make sure that I'm like sharing this with the world, because as wild as it is for other people and for anybody and everybody, honestly, to know that I have herpes, I would rather everybody know that I have herpes and know that the shame wasn't worth it than to stay quiet about the ways that I have come to love myself more deeply because of my mistakes, because of the shit that's happened to me. Because that's not to say that, you know, there's a lesson in everything. You can learn a lesson from every single traumatic thing that has ever happened to you. I don't really fucking care about learning lessons. I don't really think that life is school and life is a series of, events that you get graded on. Because that's the connotation, right? That's the implication. There we go. That's the implication, right? When we say that, when we talk about life lessons, we're implying some kind of grading system. We're implying some version of going from worse to better. We're implying I don't care about that. Stay bad at things. Stay bad at the things that you are bad at and get better at the things that you are awesome at. This is not where, we talk about life as a school where you get a little bit better at everything, even if math bores you to tears. You don't have to get better at math. Other people love math. For whatever reason, they love math. Okay? You don't have to be good at math. You don't. You don't have to be good at math. Somebody else will. But that's why we have to burn, and I'm bringing this back. We have to burn the shame that we feel of being bad at things so that we can break out of isolation and we can connect with people who are good at those things. And that way we can return from loving them for being good at that thing, we can return to loving ourselves and let go of the ways that we think that we are bad. We can connect with our power. We can connect with money. We can connect with resources because we're no longer ashamed of needing to ask for help. We're no longer trying to make other people's lives better than we're trying to make our own lives. Sometimes we neglect our own lives and we neglect ourselves so that other people can get the benefit of all of the love that we do have. But golly, when you direct it toward yourself and you burn that shame and you really you pull apart all the pieces of like what makes that shame so resilient in the face of all these people who love you, you still feel bad about yourself. You still feel like you're a bad person in spite of the people who love you. To pull all of that apart and to check in with all of those beliefs that are there, all of the stories that you're telling yourself about why you should feel ashamed. You write them out, you externalize them, you see them for what they are. Then you can go, oh, frick, that is what has power over me. That is what tells me how much money I'm willing to earn, how many resources I'm willing to go after to make my dreams a reality. I'm limiting myself because my own storytelling is that fucking narrow-minded, gross, yuck, uncreative as fuck. Just out here rhyming all the time. We have to be able to assert ourselves when it comes to shame so that we don't back down and back out of the responsibility that we have toward ourselves to really step into our strengths and become more authentically charged, authentically charged in the way that we show up in the world. God, I feel like I have like wings saying authentically charged. Ooh, there's like a bigness to that. And we need to not shrink into our shame in order to experience that bigness. In order so that we can be big enough that other people see us and go, "Oh, I like what you got. I'm going to give you the resources you need so that you can do the thing that you came here to do, that you are meant to do, that your strengths are perfectly aligned to do. And you have practiced getting better at your strengths and loving yourself for your strengths and not beating up all of your insides, all of those little egos in there for all the things that you're not good at. Oh, you're not beating yourself up anymore. Yes, I believe in you. I'm going to give you all the money that you need to fund whatever project you got going on. That's the kind of energy that we need, is to be able to move move shame out of the way so that we can get what we need to do what we came here to do. All right? Okay? All right. I love you so much. Let me know how this resonates for you. I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful rest of your day. And if you do nothing else but engage with this video, at least hit that like button, at least hit the subscribe button. And if you want to take it a step further, you can check out the vibrant resource library and community linked on my channel page. Like I said, I love you. I love you so much. You're deserving of all the shameless love that you desire. And I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful rest of your day. Okay, bye.